Good morning. Welcome to the Sustainability, Housing, Efficiency, and Neighborhood Subcommittee meeting for June. It's an exciting subcommittee for me personally. It will be my last one serving as chair. And I hope some people will join me in celebrating by eating donuts, which are from Welcome Chicken and Donuts, one of District 8's finest dining establishments. So far, it appears I am the only one who has eaten donuts, so I would ask you to, okay.
She's running.
Okay, so we have some people taking them to go, but I think the Public Works Department is allowing eating in the room today, and yes, great leadership, thank you. But just a little celebration and a nice time to reflect on. We've been a very busy and diverse subcommittee, but accomplished a lot, and we'll see some of the highlights of that today as well. But a real pleasure working with all of you, particularly our city employees, on the great things we've accomplished on a broad range of issues. So thank you so much for your partnership. With that said, we still have a lot to do, including an ambitious agenda today. Councilman or Vice Mayor Jim Waring is with us on the phone, so good morning to the Vice Mayor.
I am. Good morning. And can I just say, I'm sorry I'm not there in person to say what I'm going to say, but we don't, Madam Chair, you and I don't always agree on every issue, but you've always treated me very fairly at this committee and heard me out. And I appreciate that very much. So thank you.
Wonderful. Very kind. And we've, particularly on human trafficking, really needed and appreciated your leadership. Yeah. And we'll have a good update today on city sales of excess property with some numbers a fiscal conservative could find pride in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Excellent. We begin with the meeting minutes from our May 15th meeting.
Do we have a call to the public?
We did have, there is an opportunity for a call to the public, but we have no cards
All right.
from the public.
Just wanted to make sure. I move to approve the minutes.
Second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Minutes pass unanimously. We have a consent agenda, items 2 through 8. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought the staff told you. So item 8, I wanted to pull out.
Perfect. So then we would entertain a motion on items 2 through 8, and we have some great economic development partners who are here today who are up for funding. So thank you to those individuals wwho are reinvesting in our community. I'm sorry, 2 through 7.
Right.
Yeah, I was
All
just
right.
going to say.
Motion for, do we have a motion on items 2 through 7?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Items 2 through 7 pass, so congratulations to those folks receiving funding and some great work on HR and other items going forward. Item 8 is the Arizona Forward membership renewal. The city has been a longtime member of Arizona Forward. I got to join several people who are here today recently at the Rio Reimagined Forum, which is something about riverfront redevelopment in support of a vision from Senator John McCain and his legacy. I am very excited and honored that he's chosen to focus on the Salt River in 6 communities and 2 tribes, but the biggest stretch of it is in the city of Phoenix and much of it in the district I have the privilege of representing. So we are very lucky for his attention. I'm told even when he meets with the mayor of Tucson, he talks about how excited he is about riverfront redevelopment in Phoenix, which was endearing to us, if maybe not what Tucson was hoping for, but perhaps there's more riverfront redevelopment for everyone, but a very exciting project. So with that, I guess, do we have a motion on item 8?
I'll move.
Second? And Lori Singleton, who leads Arizona Forward, is here, so thank you to Lori for coming out and joining us, and your longtime partnership with the city on many items. With that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Passes 2-1. Let's see. Item 9 is an item Councilwoman Stark has been very involved with, the Gated Alley Program Pilot Update. So I would encourage everyone to review the information in the packet on that item and thank my colleagues for their leadership there. And then we'll move on to sustainability and battery storage and welcome up our Chief Sustainability Officer, Mark Hartman, as well as we have a special guest from Arizona Public Service.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of this subcommittee. With me here today is Scott, Director of Technology Innovation for APS. I certainly called in the experts, local expert on batteries, as we talk about this topic of really what's happening. And in recognizing the future of this subcommittee, as it's your last one here, how great to talk about the future here of what's happening. And so, as we look at battery future, a lot in the news around batteries and what's happening. And this one you may have seen, world's largest battery plant in Australia, 100 megawatts, a huge facility, partnership with Tesla. They're doing some really innovative things, really getting certainly a lot of news around what's happening and kind of just demonstrating a practical example of what's happening in the future. And another example is, 50,000 low-income and social housing homes planned, a large installation, 250 megawatts. So a huge facility of what they're planning. And so this is actually be solar on the roof of 50,000 homes and storing batteries. And the city will actually have, who runs the utility will actually have control of those and use those batteries. So it won't be the residents' batteries, but they'll use those at peak times. So really some demonstrations of battery storage. And I'll give an example here of I'm using the Tesla home battery Powerwall. It's certainly one of the most cost competitive ones, and just showing the incredible drop in price that, a few years ago, batteries were definitely only a certain percent of the market could really have access because they really were not that affordable and even that cost effective or have a payback. And the price is dropping very rapidly, exponentially. And so certainly the pricing showing at 2015 here, by 2020, the price will drop by 50% projected by Tesla, and then 75% by 2025 for this particular one, making them actually be able to have your own home battery and actually make it cost effective and have a payback, and to really use that for homeowners. And I wanted to now kind of pass it over to kind of give to Scott Bordenkircher from APS to kind of give us an overview of what's happening in regards to battery storage from our local utility.
Well, thank you all for giving me a few minutes to speak to this morning about what we're doing at APS. So as Mark mentioned, obviously battery storage is big in the news and certainly big from an energy future perspective, not just for the city of Phoenix, but obviously for the country as a whole. So hitting on just some things that we've done and some benefits, really what I want to touch on is the benefits that batteries bring are a multitude. So it's not just simply power that's stored that we can use at other times. What it really helps in, and where we're really getting the benefit out of it, is being able to harness solar energy and renewables that are mostly produced during the day, obviously, and then we have a peak that mostly is at night or in the evening when those solar panels aren't producing. So being able to use this energy storage to harness that sun energy and then spit it back out basically onto the grid when we actually need it is a really large benefit to all of our customers. Secondly, I want to talk about the fact that there are power quality issues associated with some of the renewable energy sources like rooftop solar that are put on the grid, simply because you have generators now in the middle of circuits, and that wasn't really how the grid was originally planned when it was built. Batteries have the ability to fix that problem as well. And so again, you start to look at multi-value, multi-uses of these resources, and you just see how just important they are. A couple of other things just on this slide touching on. Lithium-ion battery technology, which is what the Tesla Powerwall runs on that Mark was highlighting, definitely the predominant chemistry or technology around battery storage presently. There's a whole bunch of scientists all over the world doing a lot of research into various chemistries, various technologies from the standpoint of can they store more energy, can they be less or more cost effective, et cetera. But this is really kind of the sweet spot right now, and this is where you're seeing the bulk of the work being done. At APS, we've got several storage systems right now that we're working on. The first two, I should say, are actually in Buckeye and Surprise, because we sourced these or sited these batteries onto circuits that had a predominance of solar energy on rooftops. And so we really wanted to understand, how could we use these to smooth that generation? How could we store that energy? And again, use it at night during the peak when we really need it, and also then solve those power quality problems that I was talking about. So we have a couple of 2 megawatt hours, meaning they produce 2 megawatts over 2 hours, batteries on those circuits. We just did a large project in the city of Pumpkin Center, or town of Pumpkin Center, up north, where we actually were able to use batteries to, rather than rebuild a line, because the town's usage has gotten above the level of what that line can carry, we were actually able to put a large battery in the middle of that town, and now it handles that peak period where it would otherwise be over the capacity of those facilities. So rather than tear down a whole bunch of wire and put up a whole bunch of new wire, we leave that circuit in place, use the battery there to actually help the town and serve the town's energy needs. And so we're looking at other aspects and other places where we'd be able to use that, certainly around the valley. I won't touch on this too much, only because I think Mark really covered it well. What you'll notice is, and we kind of look at different scales of batteries. So we talked about the residential size, the Powerwall, certainly in a 20% decline from 15 to 18, 2015 to 2018. Utility scale coming down even faster than that. So from 2012 to 2016, which is the last year they had data for, a 22% decline. So from a utility perspective, in a large scale, batteries are just like any other product. They get a big benefit from economy of scale. These prices are really starting to be competitive with traditional resources and other places or other methods we use to serve load. And so again, that just shows the value that they're going to have going into the future. And the other battery I will mention, I almost forgot, is we also, I think it was in the news, most of you might have seen it, we signed a solar plus storage contract just recently, a few months ago, which is a 65 megawatt solar plant coupled with a 50 megawatt hour battery. And so that really gives us a direct linkage between that solar produced during the day and using that energy from the battery at night when we really need it. Again, just to underscore the benefits again, ability to defer those upgrades that otherwise we'd have to spend money on, efficiency from the standpoint of smoothing and being able to use that solar energy and other renewables, and then also obviously power backup, demand reduction, some of those things. So as we learn more and more about energy storage and get more and more energy storage out there, this also starts to become a reliability aspect for us, where we may be able to use that energy in those batteries to get customers on in neighborhoods where we've had outages while we're still fixing the line. So that's kind of the next generation or next area we're looking at.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you for being here. I do want to throw up this one last slide just to kind of give a sense of how batteries really can play an important role. And on this slide, you actually see by 2032 how much solar APS is projecting there will actually be in the state. So 3,000 megawatts, so immense amount of solar. And the blue line along the bottom is actually what they participate EVs would be able to use of that particular. So just showing what incredible amount of energy is being produced. So hence a role of really batteries being the hero of this story, of a real potential to position Arizona really strong in the future, as batteries could play a very important role in that. And just looking at a special time of use rate that customers could take advantage of is APS just came out with a very innovative rate recently where you can actually switch from a normal 12 cents a kilowatt hour that a customer might pay to just 3 cents an hour during that solar time. So 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., 3 cents, so a quarter of the price for energy in that time. And then 24 cents as you go to the peak time, so more double the cost. So if you were storing all the energy and only paying 3 cents during the afternoons, during the solar time, and using that battery, you could fill it for 3 cents, and then its value, you could reset again during peak times, and it'd be worth 24 cents. So really opportunity to have these types of innovative rates that could actually really help, and batteries play an important role in the future. So as kind of described, certainly optimizing the grid means lower prices for our community in the long term, as batteries can really provide and really prevent or sort of protect us from sort of major upgrades to the system, as they can kind of fill that. There's another aspect as well, is that sort of the traditional approach was just build more natural gas generation for peak times. So to the extent that natural gas prices could rise in the future, as we do more and more batteries and less natural gas, it actually protects us from shocks of future natural gas prices increases that would actually cause rate increases for everyone in our community. But actually, as we have batteries are playing a role, they can really protect and shield us from some of that and mitigate those cost increases. And then lastly, is we have a very very hot on some days in the summer at peak times, that as we see batteries as storage be able to be resilient and able to use batteries in the future to be able to really protect us if there was, some sort of major outage during really hot times. To actually have microgrids powered by batteries could really actually help us in our resilience, particular areas of that could actually be protected, and so very important in the future. So thank you very much, council members, and we would certainly entertain if you did have some questions that you wanted to ask.
Wonderful. So we in the Sustainability Subcommittee have learned that Councilman Waring's or Vice Mayor Waring's constituents in District 2 are our top recyclers. Do you know within APS service territory in the city of Phoenix, where is the solar hotspot?
So unfortunately, just based on prices and the start of solar, it tends to be in the more affluent portions of the state. APS is actually just starting a program, though, specifically targeted at lower income and middle income folks, to where we'll purchase and install the solar on their rooftops and allow them to participate in that as well. But that's where it's kind of been focused. As prices continue to drop in the solar arena, prices continue to drop in the storage arena, I think that more and more folks are going to take advantage of that combination.
Wonderful. I was just, the last time I saw data, it was also Councilman Waring's district was the
Yeah.
hotspot within.
I was just going to say, Madam Chair, I think there is data available. I don't know. I don't remember how recent it is. It's been a while since I looked at it. Maybe if the staff has updated, we can get that at another meeting.
And certainly Arizona is one of the leading in solar installations in the nation. So we're certainly behind California, but we are doing very well and have a great opportunity for it in the future, and it pairs nicely with batteries.
Fabulous. Well, it'll be exciting to see if there's a good opportunity for the city of Phoenix to partner with APS. I did appreciate your comments about resilience, and we have critical facilities from an emergency management perspective. So I think always good to make sure that we have whatever backup is possible and that we're there to support our first responders if we do have that difficult crisis situation, which we of course plan hard to avoid. Any questions from my colleagues? Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for the great update and presentation. It's good to look to the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we move to item 11, excess real property disposal update, and welcome Denise Olson, our Chief Financial Officer.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the subcommittee. So I'm Denise Olson, the CFO, and with me is Tim McBride, and he is our property manager for the city. So over the last year, Tim has gone through an ongoing process where we review properties and also determine any excess properties and then dispose of them as appropriate. This review process is done with the facilities property review team, and representation on this team is from the city manager's office, also from B&R, CED, and planning department. So with this review process, this team meets with individual departments to go over each of the properties. So with that, I'll turn this over to Tim to give you an update.
Thank you, Denise, and good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I was last here to present about a year ago can you hear me okay? Right. As I was saying, I was here about a year ago with then Deputy City Manager Paul Blue, and we shared at the time that the property review team had worked with city departments to identify more than 5,000 city-owned parcels and inventory those. And as part of that review, departments identified more than 600 of those as excess. An excess meaning parcels not needed to deliver current or future city services. And today I'm happy to present an update on the city's progress toward disposing of those excess parcels. So first off, let's take a look at the numbers of parcels sold. So a year ago, when we were last here, we were at 179 parcels disposed. And currently today, we are at 274, for a difference of, drumroll please, 95 parcels disposed. If you translate that into proceeds, a year ago, we were at 23.9 million in property sales. And then today, we're at 39 million for an increase of $15.1 million. And those numbers are slightly higher than what you may have read in the packet that was released last week because we sold 3 properties since then.
Nice work.
Thank you very much. So in addition to those completed sales, we have 3 parcels that are currently listed with brokers on our qualified vendor list. And I'm happy to report that all 3 of those parcels are under contract and should be closed by the end of summer. And if all goes as planned, we'll have an additional 1.8 million to add to our sales numbers. What's more, we're preparing to go to list 13 new parcels. As you may recall, we had a consent item back in March for the subcommittee to put forward some brokered sales, and those will be on the formal agenda tomorrow. And so I thank you in advance for your possible vote of support. As we dispose of properties, our excess inventory list continues to fall. We currently have 566 parcels that are excess, 18 that are currently listed for sale or will be shortly, counting those 13 that I mentioned. 23 will be quit claimed. 62 are under contract currently or under development agreements. 235 will be disposed under current or future requests for proposals. In fact, following this item, both CED and NSD have items that are RFP related to parcels. And finally, staff are reviewing another 228 that will be disposed in ways that both meet market demands and then comply with any regulatory requirements due to funding. The property review team's work is not over yet. Under the direction of Special Assistant to the City Manager, Tony Macaron, the team continues to meet with departments to review parcels and, when appropriate, add them to the excess list. Of particular interest is vacant land. Large numbers of undeveloped parcels have already been declared excess. However, we're doubling back with departments to review vacant parcels that they told us that they needed to keep to make sure that that's still the case. Examples would be parcels that are in reserve for as the city grows to add libraries, fire stations, police stations, parks, etc. The property review team has developed a hold or sell decision model that departments are using to establish a business case for retaining those properties. So finally, on behalf of the property review team, I want to thank each of you on this subcommittee for your ongoing support and your input. Your guidance really has been instrumental in our success and will continue to be in the future. And so in a moment, as I mentioned, we'll hear from both NSD and CED. But before Denise and I grab donuts, do you have any questions or
I'm
comments?
so thrilled that you're having donuts. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
My pleasure.
$39 million is a huge commitment and important to the taxpayers. That's really meaningful, so thank you for that work. We want the city to be a good neighbor and to think strategically about our land use and get that back on tax rolls, get it developed, make it an asset. Although we've certainly done great things with many of our own city-owned vacant land, it's great that we're looking critically and pushing, so thank you for your leadership on this project. Any questions from my colleagues?
Yep. Good work.
Wonderful. Thank you. A good lead into our next presentations then. Next up, we have item number 12, which is a redevelopment agreement with Trellis on land in City Council District 8. And welcome Chris Hallett, our Neighborhood Services Director.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Chris Hallett, Neighborhood Services Director. I'm joined with Aubrey Gonzalez, our Deputy Director over Revitalization and oversees our infill program, and Kevin Jin is Procurement Officer on this particular project. So we're here today to request authorization to enter into a sale and redevelopment agreement with the Trellis organization. We've worked with Trellis a long time in redevelopment and in particular in the Garfield area. This is in response to an RFP we put out last June with council approval, and it's in support of the Garfield plan as well as the city adopted Garfield redevelopment plan. And package one was just approved last month by council, which covered 3 of the larger lots that had a higher density potential with them. So we're here today to present package number 2, which is 10 of the smaller single family ones. And Aubrey and Kevin are going to walk us through the RFP for you.
Thanks, Chris. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Through the Slum and Blight Removal Program, Neighborhood Services acquired property in Garfield over the past 21 years in support of redevelopment strategies. And with the implementation of the Garfield Neighborhood Plan, property acquisitions began in 1992. The Garfield Redevelopment Plan, shown up here, was implemented in 1999, further outlining community goals. And NSD residential activity to date includes 48 new construction infill homes, 8 move-in ready homes out of the neighborhood stabilization programs, which were foreclosed homes that NSD rehabbed and resold to income eligible buyers, as well as 867 housing rehabilitation projects. So this proposal, in response to the RFP, will complement our prior neighborhood services department activities. These are the addresses of the 10 lots, as well as the location outlined in green. They are scattered sites throughout the Garfield neighborhood that were acquired with bond and CDBG funds. The shaded area in the boundaries reflect the Garfield Historic District. So all infill home designs that you will see today, whether in the shaded area or not, will be subject to historic preservation approval to ensure historic compatibility with the neighborhood. And Kevin Jin, our procurement officer, will provide additional details about the proposal.
Thanks, Aubrey, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. So let's take a closer look at the proposed scope of work for package number 2. So the developer will be taking these vacant lots and we're putting them back into good use with these single-family, single-story, owner-occupied infill home development with covered parking. As you can see from the elevations and the renderings, the homes do have front porch design. They include carports, and they are in the style of American Craftsman bungalow, which all fit into the historical characteristics of the current neighborhood. They will also utilize historic setbacks as well in their development on these properties. These homes will be quality, energy efficient homes. They will meet the silver rating of the National Green Building Standards, and they will have energy efficiency and healthy homes concepts in mind as they are developed. They will meet Energy Star performance specifications and EPA indoor air quality standards. And they'll also be built with a universal lifetime design. So what this means is that the homes will be accessible, so the hallways will be slightly wider, the porch will be wider, they'll have zero-step entry into the homes, and also be built with flexible and adaptable floor plans, which will allow families to grow into the homes, and for homeowners will be comfortable aging within these homes as well. The developer will also utilize downzoning or deed restrictions to protect the neighborhood from future incompatible high-density development. And so that is something that is outlined in the Garfield neighborhood plan that they desire. So the proposal for these lots is $5,000 per lot. Due to the purchase price being below appraised value, the developer will provide a public benefit of affordable homeownership opportunities. So what they will do is they will sell 7 of the homes to 120% area median income households and 3 of them to 80% area median income households. So what this means, for an example, an income for a family of 4 at 120% area median income would be $82,900, and for an 80% household would be $55,300, and those figures would be adjusted based on household size. The developer will also provide down payment assistance with an affordability period to help subsidize the home buyer gap and to encourage the home buyer to stay in the home for a while. We will also use tools and mechanisms to ensure compliance with the development as presented, so as presented through the scope, and it'll also prevent the transferring or the flipping of the lots by the developer. So here's the timeline for this project. We're here at Shen today. We plan on going to council formal for approval on June 27th. We hope to enter into contract by the end of the year and construction completion by the end of 2021. So with that, we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Wonderful, thank you. We appreciate the community engagement, particularly at the beginning. The community of Garfield had some very strong advice for us, which we've taken, including making sure that the housing is compatible with the existing stock and really celebrates what's unique about the neighborhood. It was wonderful to see it was a community value that they wanted affordable housing. And Garfield is a neighborhood close to our downtown, so it really does mean that our downtown has more options for people to live in at all income levels, and I think that reflects well on the city of Phoenix. Any questions from my colleagues or comments? With that, I would entertain a motion.
So I will move that we move on to City Council to enter into a sale and redevelopment agreement with Trellis for up to 10 lots in the Garfield neighborhood. So I forgot to put on the microphone.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Nice work. More vacant land going away. And continuing with that, we will welcome Chris Mackey, our Economic Development Director, up for item number 13, a agreement on 814 North 5th Avenue.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. We are here today to talk to you about the development and disposal of a city-owned parcel north of the northwest corner of 5th Avenue and McKinley. Here with me today is Zandon Keating, Program Manager from Economic Development that is overseeing the disposition of this property, and Chris Howlett, Director of Neighborhood Services. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Zandon to walk you through our concept.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. So today we're talking about 814 North Fifth Avenue. It's about a 7,500 square foot parcel located on Fifth Avenue, just south of Roosevelt, a little bit north of McKinley. It's been vacant for some time. The Neighborhood Services Department bought it with community development block grants in the early 2000s. There was a small apartment complex on the property at the time. That unfortunately suffered a catastrophic fire and needed to be demolished in 2005. Now the city is moving forward with trying to redevelop it, and we have a interested party working with us now who we are looking to enter into a contract with. This particular RFP was originally issued in April of 2017. We only received one proposal, which we deemed responsive, so we decided to move forward with negotiations. We began our community outreach in September of last year. At that time, the developer started some of their due diligence as well. This is a historic neighborhood, so there was some HP discussions that the developer started going through. They determined that their original proposal, based on some of the community feedback, some issues with historic preservation, that original proposal wasn't going to work. And so it took some time for the developer to rework their proposal and figure out exactly what was going to work on the site, and that's where we come to today. So the developer in April of this year submitted an amended proposal, and we began our community outreach at that time. We've seen support from the community. We went to Downtown Voices as well as the Roosevelt Action Association. We received support from both of those organizations for the current proposal.
And Councilwoman, members of the subcommittee, just for a point of background, it's a 7,500 square foot lot. So it's a single family residential, rather small lot here in the area.
So there were several things the RFP was looking for, but most prominently is we were looking for something that fit within the historic neighborhood. As Chris mentioned, this is a very small lot. It's really intended for single family use. The developer had originally intended to build some townhomes there, which ultimately did not work out. So they've now come forward with a single family home that they believe really fits within the context of the neighborhood. There's a number of commercial businesses, some multifamily in the area, but they're all very small scale, they're very historic scale. So that they really came forward with a proposal that they believe fits within that. To give you an idea of what their site plan looks like, they are showing a single family home, all the amenities that we enjoy here in Phoenix with a single family home, a pool. They're going to have they're proposing a guest house with a garage loading off the alley. They are eliminating a curb cut off of Fifth Avenue that currently exists today, which was one thing we did hear from the community as well. And they also hope for, are looking to do some street activation, have a nice big porch out front, and something that really fits within the neighborhood. Oh, I should also mention the $260,000 purchase price, which is $15,000 above the minimum ask on the site as well. And they are proposing to start construction next year, hopefully. The elevations are here. So you have on your left, you have the main house, and on the right, you have the proposed guest house. The one probably of most notice is the house to the west, which is at the top of the house elevations on the right there. So that's what the house would look like from the street. So some of the benefits that the city would be receiving from the site, this has been a long vacant site. The neighborhood would really like to see this develop, so we'd be activating the site, new downtown residents, new investment, $760,000 investment into downtown, and really helping to further that stabilization and neighborhood stabilization in Roosevelt. And with that, we are asking for the subcommittee's recommendation to move forward to City Council to enter into contracts with our partner, who is Yosemite Partners, LLC. We're available for any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you for your work on this item. We're inching ever closer to that $40 million mark. And you have pleased a bunch of very difficult to please stakeholders on this, so we appreciate you taking the time to listen to the community. Any questions? Wonderful. Would entertain a motion for approval.
I will recommend that we move to City Council for authorization to enter into contract agreements with Yosemite Partners LLC.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Before Chris Hallett leaves the table, I wanted to recognize him as well. I am not the only short time, the only short timer here, so this will be Director Hallett's last subcommittee meeting as well. He has been with the city for a very extensive career and helped redevelop, stabilize, and invest in many, many neighborhoods. One of our most beloved departments that really work with the people who run neighborhoods in Phoenix. So as you enter retirement, could we get a round of applause for Director Hallett? Thank you so much for your service to the city of Phoenix.
Can I just echo that? It's been a pleasure working with you, Chris, both as a former employee and now as a councilwoman. You're just a great asset to the city. We're going to miss you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Have a donut.
Yes. So you didn't want to have a donut in my honor. Have one in Chris's honor. Another exciting set of proposals coming up with item number 14, which is working with our Community Development Block Grant and Emergency Solutions grant funds on homelessness, fighting homelessness has been, I would say, the top priority on the social services side of this city council and subcommittee in particular, and we challenged our staff to think creatively about what we could do, so we'll recognize Director Franklin to tell us about item 14.
Thank you. Good morning, Councilwoman Gallego and members of the subcommittee. I am Marshall Franklin, Human Services Director, and joining me this morning is Keon Montgomery, who's our Deputy Housing Director. At your last meeting, you directed staff to review opportunities to provide additional services to individuals in our community experiencing homelessness using fiscal year 18-19 Community Development Block Grant funds. In addition, as staff was reviewing opportunities, we identified additional emergency solution grants funds, which could be used towards addressing homelessness. Keon will walk you through staff's recommendation regarding CDBG funds, and I will walk you through the recommendation regarding ESG funds.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, thank you, Marshall. So, Aeroterra is one of the housing department's newest affordable housing communities. It provides 130 units of affordable housing for low-income families, and 33 of the 130 units provided on site are reserved and set aside for homeless families. And of those 33 units, or within those 33 units, we currently have 67 homeless children, formerly homeless children who are residing in those units. What we've learned since opening the community in 2016 is that some of the youth residing at the property are having a rough time adjusting to their new surroundings. And so they're actually engaging in activities that are putting their households at risk of being evicted and back on the streets homeless. And so some of the negative activities that they're starting to engage in are actually acts of vandalism, as well as bullying other children and drug use. And so we have partnered with the Human Services Department, and we have caseworkers who are providing services to the parents of the households. What we're recognizing is the need for services specifically for the children that are residing at the property. And with that, I'll turn it over to Marshall.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you, Keon. The United Methodist Outreach New Day Center assists families and single women experiencing homelessness through emergency shelter and stabilization services with the goal of providing a pathway to permanent housing. Staff also proposes increasing the number of beds from 16 to 23, which means an additional 40 households could be served per year for a total of approximately 111 households that could be served in fiscal year 18-19. I would also like to share that Darlene Newsom, who is the president and CEO of UMOM, is here in the audience. So we thank her for continued support and her agency as we move forward with addressing issues that impact those in our community who are homeless. So our recommendations: Chairwoman Gallego and members of the subcommittee, staff requests the subcommittee recommend City Council approval to allocate $125,000 in Community Development Block Grant funds to provide youth specific counseling for the homeless families at Aeroterra, and recommend City Council approval to allocate $91,000 in emergency solutions grant funds for additional family emergency shelter services at United Methodist Outreach Ministries New Day Center. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, that concludes our presentation, and we'll answer any questions you may have.
Wonderful, thank you. Nice work, and thank you for rising to our challenge. Darlene Newsom that has filled out a card and would love, she's been a great partner of ours and certainly educated me a lot on what we can do, so thank you, Darlene.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I just want to thank the city for the continued support for homeless families and for youth. And this is incredibly important at this time because at the Family Housing Hub that does the coordinated intake for all families in the Valley, we still have a long waiting list for families that are waiting for shelter. We have over 100 families on our wait list for emergency shelter right now. And so what that means is about 50 of those families are living directly on the streets. And I don't feel as a city that we want to tolerate any homeless children that are living on the streets. And I know that with your continued support for you, Mom, and other homeless providers, how much we appreciate that. And these additional funds will help take some of those families off the street and provide them temporary housing with the hope that we can provide some permanent affordable housing for those families. So I just want to thank the city for their support and, of course, the wonderful staff at the city that we have to work with. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Would entertain a motion.
Thank you. Yes, it's very important to keep families together. So I will make two recommendations. The first is to allocate $125,000 in community development block grant funds to provide youth counseling for homeless families. Should we do these separate? Or should I
think we can do it jointly.
Okay, and then the second will be to recommend to City Council approval to allocate $91,000 in emergency solution grant funds for additional family emergency shelter services.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. In our city council budget, we did a lot on, particularly focused on single men, and it's nice now we're stepping up for our families and children. Next, we move to item 15, which is an update on our electric vehicle partnership, and welcome our Chief Sustainability Officer, Mark Hartman.
Thank you. And hello again, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I have a great opportunity for listeners, members of the public, businesses, employees, and council members. For those of you who are always wanting to buy an electric vehicle, now will be a great opportunity this fall. We're going to offer up to $8,000 to $10,000 off. Not we as a program, and primarily dealers and things offering great discounts. And it's a partnership between us, APS, SRP, who will all be advertising the program and creating some interest in this. And so a real interesting opportunity modeled after a program we did last year. And I would like to recognize Karen Peters, who's actually leading the example of buying electric vehicles and actually bought one last year. So great, so others can follow in her footsteps. And so the reason why we're even talking about why we'd really, as a city, want to support an electric vehicle program is really our goal. Primarily, I see the greatest benefit to clean the air. So 0 tailpipe emissions. If all the vehicles in Phoenix were electric, what incredible transformation that would do to our local air quality. So very important to long-term aspirations to really clean up our air. Looking at Phoenix as a whole, when we did our 2012 community inventory, transportation emissions in Phoenix, the carbon pollution from them are higher than many of the other leading cities. We're actually 20% higher than Las Vegas and Houston as far as the emissions from a tailpipe. We have a lot of vehicles, pretty significant per capita basis, and even more than double that as far as carbon pollution compared to the cities with mass transit like San Francisco or New York. So really, electric vehicles could really be a big solution for this. Looking globally, many cities globally are seeing electric vehicles a solution to pollution. So ones with really poor air quality, particularly like China and India, and are just seeing incredible change from being able to adopt and accelerate adoption of electric vehicles. Once you'd like to highlight, Oslo, Norway has had this goal for 5 years to major promotion of the public and getting them to buy and purchase electric vehicles. 50% of all car sales last year in Oslo, Norway were electric vehicles. So incredible, like, example of how what this could look like and it being possible. Very interesting. What's happening here in our state? So definite exponential growth. It's been back in 2010 seeing just a couple vehicles sold compared to today. Incredible increase in number of vehicles. The market share. So you can see the Tesla still the top selling electric vehicle. 29% of electric vehicle sales is the Tesla, followed by the Leaf, that program we did last year. The Chevy Volt and the Bolt definitely taking 10% each. Hey, way to go. And the BMW as well, 5% market share. And these are definitely, the number of absolute sales in the coming years will definitely increase to come with our new models with longer ranges. So electric vehicle growth and utilities definitely supporting this and wanting to provide the infrastructure in order to do that. This graph that I actually showed earlier, going back to that, what we're seeing in the long term about solar energy output in our states, the blue line at the bottom of what they'd see with 25% market share of electric vehicles, that really the solar we produce here could actually drive all of our vehicles. So if we actually look for workplace and daytime charging, it could be 100% on solar. If we wanted to use cars as battery and solars to use the batteries in cars to capture all that solar. So real opportunity to run our entire transportation system on renewable energy. Really interesting opportunity. So getting to this program, so yes, we want to support electric vehicles. There are great reasons to do that. So this purchase program, we're working with manufacturers and dealers to offer limited time discounts on to buy electric vehicles. So now is the time. Save $8,000 to $10,000 so on your vehicles. Really a lot of particularly like really great opportunity around second cars. Like absolutely you'd want to go electric vehicle for sure. Really good opportunity. So even though we're promoting it, it still is a contract the way any vehicle sale would be between the buyer and the dealer. And so the city and utilities don't have any involvement in that. We're just simply letting people know and be aware of it and encouraging and recognizing and promoting the advantages and giving them information on the types of vehicles and variety that's available now and the distances you could go. And it will be this fall. So essentially that's it. We wanted to just highlight that this is a program city's going to strongly endorse and support and encourage and promote through all of our channels we typically use and newsletters and communication with the public in order to talk about this program and really see increased adoption rate for electric vehicles and be one of the leading states for encouraging purchase of electric vehicles. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that update. We are proud at the City of Phoenix to have been recognized as the most innovative city in the country, and we want to be supporting clean, innovative technology as well, making it easier for our residents to get information and hopefully get that great first or second vehicle. So thank you for the update. Any questions from my colleagues?
Go get a donut.
Well, and we also, you as our Chief Sustainability Officer have a great team, and that team is growing as well. So I think this might be a great opportunity to recognize our new Director of the Office of Environmental Programs, and I will turn to our Deputy City Manager.
Yes, I don't know that she knows I'm doing this, but today we have with us our brand new Environmental Programs Administrator, Nancy Allen, who's joining us most recently from Louisville. If she could stand up and be recognized.
Welcome.
Looking forward to continued great progress on our environmental programs, but I also want to extend a very special thank you to Roseanne Albright, who has served over almost the last year in an acting environmental programs administrator capacity with great distinction. She does a terrific job, so I want to thank her as well. Thank you, Roseanne.
Fabulous, yes. Thank you so much to Roseanne, who's done great work with this subcommittee on issues covering a huge range from sustainable foods to brownfield redevelopment, and we look forward to more great successes from Roseanne and are very excited to welcome Nancy and have your great expertise pushing us to be the most sustainable desert city in the world. So welcome. So we can also have donuts for Roseanne and Nancy.
Yeah, there you go.
And we're also joined by the chair of our Environmental and Sustainability Quality Commission. So thank you to Colin for joining us as well. And now we move to our grand finale presentation, and I will welcome Michael Hammett, our Chief Service Officer, up to the table to tell us about our work with the Bloomberg Philanthropies and the Challenge Update.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Quaylen Waller. I'm Deputy Chief of Staff for the Office of Mayor Thelda Williams. With me today are Michael Hammett, Chief Service Officer with the City of Phoenix, David Hamdullah, Assistant Professor with Arizona State University, who studies extreme heat and its societal impacts. Back in February, Phoenix was named one of 35 champion cities selected as a finalist for the Bloomberg Philanthropies 2018 U.S. Mayor's Challenge, which is a grant competition that encourages city leaders to uncover bold, innovative ideas that confront the toughest problems cities face. As a champion city, we are currently participating in a 6-month test, learn, and adapt phase of our idea on how cities, including Phoenix, can holistically manage urban heat through a program called Heat Ready. I will now turn the presentation over to Michael to talk more about our idea and how Phoenix is going to become a heat ready city.
Thank you, Quaylen. Madam Chair and members. Thank you, Quaylen. Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, last September, with direction from Council and formal approval, we convened a group of stakeholders for an all-day session to really kind of identify what some of our most pressing issues were. This was led by a representative from Bloomberg Philanthropies, and it was a really dynamic day. We had city staff, we had community stakeholders, business owners, nonprofits, all at the table, trying to identify a program and right-size that problem. And so it was a really interesting day. What we did was we came up with urban heat, and there were several reasons why urban heat was identified. Its impact on public health in general, with specific impacts on vulnerable communities, and that could be seniors, veterans, the elderly, as well as folks with physical challenges. And also the economic viability of our city. So that was one thing that was identified. The solution that we came up with is to create a first of its kind heat-ready blueprint for the city of Phoenix. And this would be a guide for the city to address urban heat in a comprehensive and dynamic way. So that incorporates toolkits, which are actual ways that citizens and the city departments and businesses can really partake in this and address this issue. At the core of this is citizen engagement. And from the very beginning, from prior to that all-day seminar, and currently we're doing testing with residents, with business owners, internal stakeholders, departments, and council members. And we have had about 15 opportunities to date where we have engaged all of these stakeholders to really test prototypes that we could look at to really address urban heat in a comprehensive way. And again, this would be the first city to actually have a comprehensive blueprint. And now to talk a little bit more about that is David Hamdullah, Senior Heat Research from Arizona State University.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, and thank you, Quaylen and Michael, for having us here. Just like to say that it's been a privilege to have the opportunity to be part of this project on behalf of colleagues from ASU. We've really enjoyed our time working with city staff who comprise the Heat Ready team. I'd like to spend a few moments and just tell you about the pieces of the proposal that we'll be submitting in August and what we can look forward to when we receive the $5 million 3-year grant. There are 3 components to our idea. The first of which, as Michael mentioned, is a comprehensive blueprint. This will provide the 30,000-foot view of how the city is doing when it comes to addressing the challenge of urban heat and what it might do moving forward. Secondly, there will be a series of toolkits that really outline the nuts and bolts of how to achieve specific actions or interventions when it comes to addressing urban heat. And of course, we're hoping that the blueprint and complementing toolkits catalyze actions that improve the lives of residents and visitors to the city of Phoenix, support economic growth, and so on. Each of these 3 stages would be supported by a comprehensive evaluation and iteration approach to understanding how we're doing. I'll talk about each of these 3 components very briefly. First, the blueprint. This would be our assessment and prioritization tool to understand how we're doing as a city when it comes to addressing urban heat. It turns out that heat is not a challenge that cities, including Phoenix, are necessarily well organized to address. For problems like crime, we can very easily identify a department that has leadership and responsibility for addressing that challenge. But when it comes to heat, we actually find it's quite difficult to identify a department that is not involved in addressing the problem. And we hope that the blueprint provides a means of streamlining and facilitating collaboration between departments and outside of the city staff as well in addressing this very cross-cutting challenge. The blueprint would motivate the city to evaluate its activities in many different categories, samples of which are proposed here on the slides. The toolkit would really get into the toolkits would get into the nuts and bolts of how we can proceed with specific interventions for addressing urban heat. And we've already had some success as a city in developing toolkits for specific heat actions. For example, Michael and his team developed what's called a community tree shade blueprint over the past few years, which outlines very specifically how communities can undertake tree planting programs. There are 2 versions of this document, one that supports city staff, one that supports neighborhoods. This is a publicly available document, and it's been very successful in really outlining the how-to when it comes to achieving that particular intervention. And as we look around the country, we see very little in the way of these practical how-to guides that cities can use for deploying heat interventions. The Environmental Protection Agency, for example, maintains a database that offers some recommendations, but those are on the order of 2 sentences or a paragraph. We're looking for more of 6 to 10 pages of really how to move finances, how to create political will, how to get the shovel in the ground and really see these interventions be successful. And as I mentioned, we're also hoping to take action and measure the impact of that action as guided by the blueprint and toolkits. And we're looking forward to seeing what the types of actions are that the blueprint and toolkits will recommend for the city moving forward. As my colleagues mentioned, collaboration is a very important part of our approach. We recognize that urban heat is a large challenge and not one that the city will be able to address on its own. We need to be engaged with residents, businesses, and many other partners. There is a related Bloomberg initiative that Karen Peters is part of called the Cross-Sector Collaboration Team, which is also thinking about urban heat. And the Mayor's Challenge team is working hand in hand with their team to ensure that we're thinking about how to best collaborate both inside and outside of city government in taking on this challenge. As an example of one of our upcoming activities where we're thinking about how the city might interface with residents and others outside of City Hall, we'll be working together with the Center for Climate and Energy Solutions to hold a business workshop on July 10th, where we will try to understand more specifically what businesses are looking for when it comes to the city's approach or the city's movement to become more heat ready. And we're very much looking forward to that conversation and learning from them how we can work together to become heat ready. And to wrap up, I'll hand it back over to Quaylen.
Thank you, David. So next steps for the Mayor's Challenge team. Next steps for our Mayor's Challenge team is submit our application that's due on August 20th and incorporates all of the feedback we've gotten from mayor and council, our stakeholders, and also our residents, so we can bring home a $5 million prize. We appreciate all of mayor and council's support during this process, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, and thank you for your leadership on behalf of the mayor's office. This is exciting and really could be meaningful to our residents, including our most vulnerable residents. We're looking forward to that $5 million. Any questions from my colleagues?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I just wanted to add that this team is really working hard and doing tremendous work. Cindy Stotler from our housing department is also a member of this core team that went back to New York to really help develop this. We appreciate her commitment, but we also have folks here today that are working every day on the Heat Ready proposal. I wanted to recognize also Kim Gathers in the back from the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and then from the mayor's office, Ashley, who is just amazing every day and is working in our community. But I also really want to thank Mayor Williams for taking up the cause of this mayor challenge, and we're going to be working closely with her office going forward and hope to be successful. So just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Will you tell us a little bit more about the business outreach? It's my sense that in the city of Phoenix, we have a large number of businesses that are focused on sustainability and trying to solve different environmental challenges in a way that also helps them move forward financially. Will we be enlisting them and the private sector to try to move this forward? And how will we recruit the businesses or advertise it to the businesses?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we do see from the very beginning of this process, and a lot of this has been with direction from council, businesses as a key component of this, and the shaping of the plan, but also the implementation. Because one thing that we have heard from the very beginning is we need a plan that is dynamic and it's activated. And we see businesses as really stakeholders, but also, you know, through our Love Your Block process, we've seen them as really members of the community. So members of the residents within those communities. And we've had great success leveraging funds from businesses in terms of supporting projects in specific communities. Our workshop that's coming up, we're really excited about. C2ES is an organization that will come in and help us really identify the best way to engage the businesses. And we're going to ask the business owners, how do you see, you know, what have some of your challenges been in terms of urban heat? Do you have challenges working with the city? And how do you see your role moving forward in this? We see it as, you know, getting involved and actually shaping the types of projects that will be moving forward. Tree shade is a good example. Businesses have been tremendously helpful in these tree shade projects that we've done in our communities. And actually all three members of this subcommittee will have tree shade projects that have taken place or will in the very near future, and businesses have been instrumental in that. So we're really looking forward to July 10th when we have these business owners, managers, stakeholders at the table. And any advice in terms of who should be there, we'll continue to take those ideas and reach out to those businesses.
Wonderful. Are you starting with, for example, like Public Works has a great partnership with green businesses, where they, and those are some of those are interested, are using CED's business list?
CED has been really helpful, GPEC as well. So we have met with each of those teams and really kind of pulled together a list, and then also ideas from mayor, council, and the departments in terms of key businesses out there in the community. If anyone is listening to this and wants to get involved, they can contact our office.
I think the Green Chamber and the Architects Association have both been amazing partners for us on sustainability initiatives, so I think they would be great resources as well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
And we should always invite planners.
Absolutely. I'll give you a few names.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Any additional comments or questions? Excellent. Well, go forth and get that $5 million prize. Wonderful. Great update. Thank you. That is our final agenda item, so thank you so much. It's been a... Yes.
I just want to thank you for your leadership on this subcommittee, and I know you value these areas, especially sustainability and housing. You've been quite a champion and quite a leader, and thank you for all you've done in moving this forward.
Wonderful. Thank you. It has been wonderful to serve with you and Vice Mayor Waring, and I look forward to seeing what comes next from these departments and subcommittees. So thank you all for your hard work. With that, we are adjourned.